Hello everyone, my name is Colin and this is Colin Talks Crypto. Today we're going to cover a variety of very interesting and exciting topics. Everything from 50 Bitcoin has moved for the first time in 11 years. It was untouched since 2009, 1 month after the Bitcoin blockchain began, and it just moved for the first time today. We're going to talk about, is Bitcoin BTC undervalued right now? We're going to cover Justin's son. The drama yet continues with Steem, and he puts in place a hard fork in an attempt to steal dissenting user funds and how it was just thwarted. Lastly, we're going to cover how to convert your Steem tokens to HIVE tokens, going from one blockchain to the next on a decentralized exchange, making it simple and easy to get out of that disaster scene of Steem and into the future of HIVE. Thank you for joining me. Lots of exciting things to cover today. So first and foremost, 50 Bitcoin, worth about $485,000 in today's prices, has just moved. Now, obviously, it was not worth anything back when it was originally mined, because these 50 Bitcoin were mined 1 month after the blockchain went live in 2009. And back in 2009, the block reward was 50 Bitcoin per every 10-minute block mined. And in 4 years, that was halved. These are the halving events, right? And in 4 more years, it went down to 25 Bitcoin. I remember this halving event myself. And then the next halving event was down to 12.5 Bitcoin. And that was followed by the most recent halving event, bringing down the block reward to 6.25 Bitcoins. So just to paint a picture of how long ago this truly was, this was back when there was 50 Bitcoins mined per block, when today there's just 6.25. And that means a couple things. We don't know who mined them, but it's only possible that a very, very small number of people could have potentially mined those coins. And so the immediate thought is this Satoshi? Are these Satoshi's coins? Is he somehow coming back and moving these early coins within the first month of the Bitcoin blockchain when only a few people were involved? And so we'll get into this a little bit. Now, this transaction happened today. It is currently May 20th, 2020, happened at lunchtime just a couple hours ago. And so these 50 Bitcoin suddenly moved for the first time since they were mined. And here on blockchain.com, if you look at the address right here, you can see that it had 50 Bitcoin. Let's scroll to the very first transaction, which is this bottom one right here. You can see that the date is 2009. It's February 9th, 2009. 1 month after the Bitcoin blockchain was launched. And the very next transaction is May 20th, 2020. Over 11 years since the original transaction was mined, nothing had happened to those tokens in that 11-year period in which they were mined to today, on which they finally moved. And the sender and the owner of these tokens sent 10 of them to another address and 40 of them to a change address. So this brings us back to the question of who sent these tokens. Now, unfortunately, with Bitcoin, actually, I would say fortunately, it is a pseudonymous nature. And the inherent pseudonymous nature of Bitcoin transactions means that there's little to no chance of deciphering who actually owns these newly moved Bitcoins. You can only trace them based on the ins and outs of the transactions, but since these were just freshly mined Bitcoins, there are no trails to follow. They came straight as a block reward from a block mined to a person's wallet, and they just moved, and nothing else has happened to them. And so people think that this might be Satoshi. After all, he hasn't ever moved his tokens, and we are all wondering if he ever will do so. Now, there's a user on Twitter called Whale Panda who says that it does not look like it's a likely Satoshi address. It's not a known Satoshi address. And there are users who have done detective heuristic type work on the early Bitcoin block rewards and traced them and patterns that they've seen. And so based on that, it does not look likely that this is a Satoshi transaction. Of course, anything is absolutely possible. I don't think that anyone knows for sure who owns these early Bitcoins. Again, owing to the fact that they are pseudonymous and no one really knows who owns anything in these early years. But as far as we know, as far as seems likely, it does not appear to be related to a Satoshi coin. And so we'll see if anyone ever comes out and lets us know that this was their token supply? I have a feeling we will never know, because if you owned 50 Bitcoins, would you really want the world knowing that you owned nearly $500,000 in cryptocurrency? Probably not. It's also pretty cool to note that the difficulty of that block mine in which this user earned these 50 Bitcoins over 11 years ago was at a difficulty of 1. And to put that in perspective, as the hash rate on the Bitcoin network has increased over time, and as we've had the advent of GPU mining and then ASIC mining, which increased the hash rate tremendously, today the difficulty level is over 15,130,000,000,000 difficulty. And this difficulty changes about every 2 weeks. And so this lucky user mined $500,000 with a difficulty level of 1, probably using his home computer or laptop at that time, about 11 years ago. He just didn't know that probably these would be worth $500,000 until 2020. All right, and moving on to a new topic, is Bitcoin undervalued right now? I think that's a question a lot of us want answered and are curious about as we move along in the price cycle of things. Bitcoin has been hovering between 9,000 and 10,000 for quite a little while now. Are we overvalued? Are we undervalued? This site I find very fascinating. It's called lookintobitcoin.com, and we go into the chart, which is called Bitcoin Investor Tool. And this is a 2-year moving average multiplier chart. And you can see it's very self-explanatory, really. We have a green line, which is a 730-day moving average, which is 2 years. And then we have a parallel red line, which is also a 730-day moving average, but every price point is multiplied by 5. And so you get this channel between which we can see the price of Bitcoin is flowing. And I'm going to just read you from the site real quick, and then we'll take a look at that chart. The 2-year moving average multiplier is intended to be used as a long-term investment tool. And that's what we focus on a lot on this channel, is long-term investing, not day trading, and not short-term investing. It highlights periods where buying or selling Bitcoin during these times would have produced outsized returns. To do this, it uses a moving average line, the 2-year moving average, and also a multiplication of that moving average line, the 2-year moving average times 5. So buying Bitcoin when the price drops below the 2-year moving average, which is the green line, has historically generated outsized returns. Selling Bitcoin when the price goes above the 2-year moving average times 5 red line has been historically effective for taking profit. And it's true. If you look at this chart, if you literally were to follow this, historically speaking, on this chart, if you had bought Bitcoin at any point where the price was below the 2-year moving average, this green line, you would have made an incredible purchase based on the subsequent bull run where the price never looked back from that point ever again. You can see that in 2011, we had this price here. Looks like it was about $5. So if you'd purchased some Bitcoin for $5, never again would the price go below that $5 purchase price. You would have made insane profits. And again, between 2015, 2016, this trough right here, where the price was about $300, if you had purchased Bitcoin during this entire almost year-long period and held it, never again would the price of Bitcoin ever drop below back into that price range. And likewise, it looks like we're following a similar pattern, whereas we had recently in 2019, January 2019, for a period of maybe 6 months, and a little brief period here in that March recession period, where the price again dropped below that 2-year moving average. And in doing so, I believe that this is very likely to be another one of these instances, just like in 2015 and just like in 2011, where the price of Bitcoin is never ever going to go back into this price range. We're never going to see here this price range of about $6,000. It's never going to drop back into that range, most likely. And even if it did briefly, I think that based on what this graph is portraying in the past 12 years, is that it's basically always paid out to make that decision. And so let's zoom into the more recent years right here. And we can see that in this March recession fear crash, it actually gave us another buying opportunity below that 2-year moving average. And so if you were smart and you bought into the fear, as in you purchased Bitcoin against the fear in the media, you would have made one of the wisest decisions I think that you could have made in the next several years. Only second to having purchased back in February of 2019. again, some of the most undervalued periods that we are seeing right now. And now to get into some Steem drama, Justin Sun is at it again. So if you were to remember, there's been a bit of a story on this, and there's a great article that kind of summarizes the whole thing. It's on News BTC. And essentially what's happened here is the original holder of some stake on the Steem blockchain recently sold that stake to Justin Sun, the founder of Tron. And that turned out to be probably the worst decision that has ever been made on the Steem blockchain to date. Because Justin Sun mistakenly thought he was buying the entire blockchain. He was just buying some stake. And what happened when he acquired this enormous amount of stake is that the witnesses, the block producers of Steem, were not certain of what Justin Sun's intentions were. And because they weren't certain of what his intentions were, they put a temporary pause on his funds. Now, I can see that that itself is a bit sketchy, but that's what the community and that's what the block producers wanted to do, the witnesses wanted to do. Well, Justin Sun didn't like that. And so what he did after that is he enlisted the help of, I think it was 3 major exchanges, Poloniex, Huobi, and Binance. And together they took user funds from those exchanges without asking them, without their consent, and voted in 20 witnesses on the Steem blockchain, thereby taking over full control of the Steem blockchain. And so that was Justin Sun's retaliatory move to the witnesses originally locking his funds. He did not like that one bit. And I can't say that I blame him, but I can't say that his move was right either. I think that they both had some wrongnesses there. Now, the drama has continued. And since then, HIVE has forked off of the Steem blockchain. And in doing so, they prevented Justin Sun's tokens from having any weight. And so they cleanly separated ways and parted ways. And so now we have the HIVE blockchain. And most, if not all, of the community, which is the main thing that underpins any blockchain, has moved along with the HIVE fork. And there's not a whole lot happening on the Steem blockchain anymore. And HIVE has quickly and tremendously gained in value. And that goes to show you the power of community. Now, Justin Sun is all about punishing. I can't say that I like this guy's technique. To me, he seems just like a young criminal. He's turning into a thief. And what he has done recently is that on the Steem blockchain, Justin Sun is implementing a hard fork, which is going to steal funds from many wealthy and whale and prominent figures in the Steem community who have voiced dissenting opinions against Justin Sun. And so it's a complete totalitarian theft, essentially. And here's an example. Here's one of the users from Steem who has $600,000 in US dollars worth of Steem. And Justin Sun is about to try to take away his Steem. So obviously you can see it's a very serious thing. Dan is a very upstanding member, I would say, of the Steem and now HIVE community. And for someone like Justin Sun to come along and to threaten to take away $600,000 worth of his tokens, just because Dan didn't agree with Justin Sun's actions, is basically criminal. And this hard fork was called Hard Fork 23. And unsurprisingly, Hard Fork 23 is not available for review of the code. It's an unusual move in what's supposed to be an open source network. Well, it's not so unusual when you consider that Justin Sun is running things. And if this hard fork gets put into place, that would mean the seizure of 23.6 million Steem from dissenting users, which equates to around $5 million in monetary value. So the user Dan here had about $600,000 worth of that 5 million. So there's a lot of other users that would have been stolen from if this hard fork was put into place. Now, in what seems to be becoming the norm for Steem and HIVE drama, mostly Steem, just when you thought the Steem and HIVE saga could not get any crazier, the account receiving the seized tokens from Steem's Hard Fork 23 got hacked and sent 23.6 million Steem to Bittrex exchange with no memo and leaving the message, "Stealing is bad," to Justin Sun Tron. And so you can see here, when we click on this, that we have a message here. Steem witness using Hard Fork 23. Please return them to their original owners prior to the fork. Smiley face. And then another user sends some funds here and puts a comment. What just happened here? Did this account just send 23 million Steem to Bittrex? So Justin Sun just got shafted in his attempt to shaft over others. It's quite gets quite complicated here. And so I was trying to understand, well, how is this possible? I thought they had a hard fork. I thought that Justin Sun had a hard fork in place that was going to basically inevitably steal the funds. And Dan, the same guy that was in that article, actually answered. And he said, someone on their team helped the good people here, an anonymous hero at the moment. So we don't know who this figure is. It's kind of like a white hat hacker. He basically went in, thwarted the hard fork that was going to steal $5 million worth of funds, and sent it to an exchange. So I'm really hoping for the best for all the Steem users who are threatened to be attacked by Justin Sun. Hopefully they get made whole. Hopefully they are treated right in the end. And just to show you how like horrible Justin Sun's response is, he's such a lowlife. I mean, I hate to say it, he's such a lowlife. He sends this official message. And long story short, he goes on to say that he has nothing to do with his hard fork, which is complete baloney. And he says that the media and Vitalik Buterin of Ethereum misled everyone because they supported it 100%, and that they're working with law enforcement to take back the funds that were stolen from them. I don't know how backwards you can get things, but man. And here's a couple of good responses. Justin Sun does not have property rights to new chains. You can't go suing people for new blockchains when you have nothing to do with those chains. Existing chains' property rights should be respected. Without respecting that, Steem is basically dog shit. And 3Speak goes on to say here that every single Steemit Inc. employee and all the witnesses that still supported you, Justin Sun, quit before the malicious hard fork. Minutes later, your puppets replaced them when they shut down their nodes. This is all on chain to verify. Your vote alone controls everything on Steem. So Justin Sun's trying to claim that he has nothing to do with this. And it's not true. He has had everything to do with this. And everything's on chain to verify. So it's really nice to see that the right thing looks like it's going to be done here. These attempted to be stolen funds were diverted, and it looks like we're saved. And so it's really nice to see when something like that happens. Now, if you're like me and you've had an account on Steem because you enjoy using the social media aspect, but now you also have an account on HIVE, which I enjoy even more because of all the reasons we just went over, you might be thinking, well, I don't really want to be a member of the Steem community anymore. I don't really want to support that kind of behavior. I don't want to support a centralized blockchain. And so I thought, you know what? I'd like to sell my Steem tokens. I don't want to support that kind of behavior. And I got the easiest and quickest way to do this without having to sign up on any exchange, because some exchanges don't even allow US citizens, the ones that have Steem liquidity on them, to do the trade. And so I needed a DEX, a decentralized exchange. And sure enough, this article here shows us how to do it. Now, this first article talks about how to convert Steem to HIVE using the Steem engine website, completely decentralized. And one quick thing to make note of is I did this on the Steem version of the Steem engine website. There is also a HIVE engine website. It's the equivalent of the Steem engine website, and you can do it there. The reason I chose to do it on the Steem engine website is because, from what I gather, this could be incorrect, but I think that there's higher liquidity on the Steem engine website because the HIVE engine website is a brand new site. And so I didn't want to involve with less liquidity and get a less good price per token. So just something for you to think about. I think you can do it on either site, hiveengine.com, and the instructions are here for that, but you can also do it on steemengine.com. And so here's the instructions. I did it myself. It's actually not too difficult. And so basically what you're going to do is you're going to go to steemengine.com. That's STEEM-engine.com. And you're going to log in with your Steem account. And when you log in with your Steem account, you're going to then deposit your Steem tokens into steemengine.com. And you can do that with any wallet service. You could go to steemit.com and go to the wallet service. And basically you send the tokens, you send the Steem tokens from your Steem account to this website. You convert them to Steem P, which is a temporary placeholder of the Steem tokens on the decentralized exchange. And then you convert the Steem P tokens to HIVE P tokens first. And then once you have the HIVE P tokens, you can withdraw them as HIVE tokens to your HIVE blockchain account. You have then essentially converted your Steem tokens to HIVE without any centralized exchange, without having to sign up for anything. and escaping the disaster scene that is Steem. And so follow these instructions exactly. And if you do it correctly, then I can tell you that it works because I now have HIVE tokens instead of Steem tokens. So guys, I'll put this link in the description below, and I hope that you follow it. Please do consider supporting HIVE and consider removing your support for Steem, because Justin Sun only derives what little power he may even have left on Steem by the fact that users may use that blockchain. And so I consider it my vote. I vote with my feet. I vote with my tokens. My money does the voting. And if I sold my Steem tokens and I purchased HIVE tokens with those same tokens, I just casted a vote against Justin Sun and all his crazy criminal type behavior. All right, guys, I hope you're having a great day, and we'll talk again soon.